Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the One Bitcoin Show. Today is November the 5th, 2020. What a day, right? Strong hand, long term thinking. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. This game is not rigged. You can definitely say that. Golden age of the 2020s. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin in motion. 5-digit round. Value your wealth in Bitcoin. I'm offended by selling. Hello. You should really be. Now you can see why I'm offended by selling, right? I mean, if you couldn't see it beforehand, come on. All right. Hello, my elite friends. It's one of those days. You know how I always say sometimes it'll go down by 1,000 in a day, sometimes it'll go up by 1,000 in a day. Well, it's one of those good days for you Fiat freaks out there. Check out yesterday's show. Be sure to do that. Follow me on Twitter, TechBalt, TECHBALT. If you have questions, I have answers. We already have a question in there, I see. Let's go, Fiat freaks. Taval Dacre sent $5 Canadian. You guys can do that too. Super chat. I'll read off what you have to say if you type in BitcoinMeister or you do a super chat like Taval Dacres said, like Taval Dacres just did. Thank you, Taval, for all the support. And it's really great to see you here today, man. I've seen you on days when the price is down, and you're here on days the price is up too, man. You've got conviction. All these dudes have conviction. I see a good Titan boss, Jorn is here, Jeffrey's here, and Hope, and all sorts of people that are been here through the thick and the thin of it all, baby. All right. So today's one of those good days. So let's I'm going to give you some analysis to make your hands even stronger. And yeah, so another day, another 2020 high. And this is after the election, you know, the whole world was supposed to be ending now. Things in real life are calmer. There's a lot more certainty, even though people are screaming about uncertainty. The financial people out there, the people in the money with the money, they know it's what is certain and what is not. And things are going well. I've got to say. So $15,000. All right. So I said a number. Oh my. I talk about the 210,000 block theory a lot. And so if you go back 210,000 blocks, that was block 445549, 4,400. You got it. 445,549 was on December the 28th, 2016. So that's 210,000 blocks ago. I link to that below. Everything I talk about is linked to below. So from December the 15th, so I usually, the rough estimation you can do is you subtract 46 months. So November of this year should be the equivalent of January of 2017. But because it's a little off, we're still in December of 2016. And later this month, we'll be in January of 2017. Okay, so there's your perspective. So it went back 210,000 blocks ago from in a 2-week period from December 15th to the 28th. It went from $778 to $975. That's a 25% increase. And so if you go back to October 20th of this year, which is roughly around the 2 weeks ago, or a little bit more than 2 weeks ago, whatever it is, Bitcoin price has increased. Well, as of this morning was 13%. Now it's much closer to 25%. Just like then, just like history repeating itself. Okay? And back then, when this 210,000 blocks ago, Bitcoin was breaking out of the $700 realm that had been stuck in for a while. And now we had been stuck in around an 11,000, 12,000 realm for a while. And it broke out. So we're following this pattern, this 210,000 block. It rhymes. It's not exactly the same, but I have talked about this for a while. I said at the end of 2016, we had this ramp up. All right. It was the pre-ramp up before the real ramp up. Okay. So are we experiencing this again? Yeah, it really does look like it. Now, we're in the 15,000s. Could it go back into the 12,000s? Yeah, probably it will. There'll probably be a big drop or 13 or something, 11. So have a strong hand, okay? Because last time around, there were days when it went down. After this exciting period in late December, there were a couple of days where they had some big drops, but also we're getting closer to that all-time high, okay? If it's going to replicate that December-January period of 210,000 blocks, we very much could have the new all-time high in the next 30 days, all right? I do think it's quite likely that it'll be. I mean, December 31st. I've said this a few times. That'll be the new. I mean, this is not big news now. The new monthly close high. I'm saying it'll be December 31st. Some of you say, shouldn't it be November 30th at this point, Adam? Well, it looks like it today, but again, we're at 50,000 today. It could very much go back into the 13s and just November 30th. It could be less than the record monthly high. So. Yeah, I'm just looking at all these numbers I have here, and yeah, it's good. It's replicating it, and it's worth noting that Bitcoin's realized market cap is reaching new highs, suggesting that Bitcoin's value is effectively breaking new highs. So if you believe in, and we've talked about this before, the Bitcoin realized market cap, it's solidly breaking new highs. So we had that, 19,600, whatever that high was in December of 2017. But what's going on now is much more sturdy, much more steady, much more reliable, these high prices. So you can be a total fiat freak and say, well, it hasn't got to 19,600. It's real. This zone that we're in now, it's a pretty darn good zone. And below, I don't have this very organized, very well organized today. I'm going to give you a number of days. In fact, let me get there. 15,250. It was earlier today. That number had only been surpassed 28 days in the history of Bitcoin. Okay, only 28 days in the history of Bitcoin, and so now it's whatever number it's at making the show. It's surging right now. If you're watching this live, 15,600, something like that. So I mean, that's why I bring up that realized market cap. I mean, we're in rare air here. Okay, very very rare air. Now, if it closes at closing time is an arbitrary time, but if it closes at the number it's at right now, it's even much less days than 28 that have that it's closed that high. So yeah, it's a good time to be alive, to say the least. Who's got questions over there? We got I don't know what we got over here. No, we got people yelping. I mean, you should be happy there. And look, someone I'm not even going to repeat what that dude said about because they come here, the Ego Coin guys come here just so I can say the name of it, and so that they'll get suckers to buy it. And I'm just looking forward to Thanksgiving when I'm in Baltimore and I can start dumping that staked Ego Coin. Dude who's trying to use this chat to promote the Ego Coin, you just keep on being a sucker and keep on pumping that price up. Pump it up to 100 Satoshis or whatever it is, and so that I can make a heck of a lot of Bitcoin off of that crypto dividend that you think people should be buying, which is complete insanity. You never buy a freaking crypto dividend that you can get for free. Pound that like button. But nice try. Nice try. Just make me richer, dude. You just do all you sucker MCs over there. You just whatever. Convince your cult to keep on pumping it up and make me richer. As I value my wealth in Bitcoin, not some freaking altcoin, whatever the heck that is, Ego Coin, whatever you want to call it. All right, I see. And again, I'm not going to say someone, a good guy, mentioned the name of that Ego Coin. I'm not going to mention it. By the way, shirts like this linked to below. Satoshi Nakamoto, he's awesome. All right. Where in the world is Satoshi Nakamoto? I don't give a darn, but the shirt does. Now, where is I want to get back on track here. I'm sorry for just, I'm in a rush. I want to run. That's what I always say. Adams always wants to go running. Yeah, that's how I organize the days. I run after the show on the days that I run. Now, we talk about market cap. And yeah, obviously, here's something: 97% of Bitcoin addresses are in profit during this price rally. I mean, that's so. I mean, the statistics I just gave you. There were only a few days where people could have bought Bitcoin for more than it's worth right now for you fiat freaks. So yeah, holdings paid off quite nicely. We are quite profitable. Now, I don't exactly like that because we haven't sold our Bitcoin. I hesitate to use the word profit because it almost encourages people to value their wealth in dollars and to sell their Bitcoin, which I do not want people. Clearly, this is a day where, I mean, if you don't get why long-term thinking and holding is important on a day like this, then you're never going to get it. You're never going to get it. You're just an impulsive guy who buys stuff that some guy who used to sell medicine in Florida or whatever he used to do does. You fall for everything in the book. All right, now you're not. I mean, but that's most people. 80% are not long-term thinkers. Wednesday's show was yesterday. Obviously, it was Wednesday. I just put it in the chat. Please click on it, watch it. It was a good time. And Taval Docker says, do you think Bitcoin will start an alt rally? Do you think the market is more mature and will only pump predominant ones like ETH? Well, I think it will start a new. Of course, it's going to start a new rally. All these 80%ers are going to come flying in here. We're going to talk about them in a second. Actually, I think it'll. I can't. It will help ETH, and the top tier ones. Yeah, the top tier ones are going to be helped more than that. It's not going to be like last time when it was all the 5th tier and 6th tier and 8th tier ones going insane. There'll be a subsection that will resemble the ICO boom. It'll be the DeFi boom, okay? But if you're hoping that if you're a bag holder of some 6th tier altcoin from back in the day that pumped the last time, don't hold your breath. I mean, it might go up some. But obviously we've seen the top tier be defined pretty clearly. PayPal, what's PayPal going to have? Sell Bitcoin, Bcash, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Yeah, so they'll all pump once they open up. Once they're fully operational over there, all of those will pump, and they are all top tier. Okay, I mean, you can say what you want to about them, that Bcash and Litecoin are useless. Yeah, you've got a legitimate argument right there, but that's not what your question was. And going back to your question, Taval, it's a good question, but if you're a Bitcoin holder, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. There was a guy who's a big fan of the show, and I was saying a few months ago, Ethereum is going to pump because of Ethereum 2.0 and the DeFi stuff. And he's like, well, why not buy some Ethereum now, Adam? Why not buy some Ethereum now? And then I'll just trade it into Bitcoin. Well, and I said, well, I don't know the timing, and I could be wrong. And guess what? Since shortly it did pump, but then after that, it's gone down. That's why you just value your wealth in Bitcoin. There are no sure things with these altcoins, okay? No sure thing at all. The sure thing is just buying and holding and getting those crypto dividends on your Bitcoin, okay? And doing nothing with your Bitcoin. That is a sure thing. That is why I'm so darn happy today. That's why the people who have just done nothing with their Bitcoin and collected their crypto dividends from freaks like Ego Coin Guy are doing really darn well for themselves. And it sounds simple. It's not glamorous, but it is the way to go. It is long-term thinking. That's how Warren Buffett, that's his whole strategy, long-term thinking, hold it, buy and hold, blah, 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 blah. He's not right about the Bitcoin stuff, but it's a basic tried and true strategy, all right, that is over the long run. You got a big darn smile on your face on days like this. So pound that freaking like button. All right, the Canadian is in the house here. Yeah, Richie Rich is in the house. All right. Now, let's move back to the agenda here. There's a lot on this agenda. Now, another article that is pretty obvious why this is happening. Bitcoin addresses that at least hold one Bitcoin hit a record high. All right, I mean, and Ethereum addresses that hold 100 Ethereum or something like that, or 50, have also hit a record high. Part of that reason is it's pretty simple. There's more Bitcoin out there than there ever was before. Okay, and so I mean, people, miners are mining it. They're putting it on the exchanges. People are buying it. So there's more, and people are, there's smart people out there who are buying a good amount of it, which now is 1 Bitcoin. If you, for you Fiat freaks out there, it costs a lot of money. You could have gotten a car in the year in 1998 for this amount of money. Okay, for what one Bitcoin is. I think a new car. I don't know. I wasn't buying. But yeah, in the year 2000, you could have gotten a small car for this amount of money. Maybe, I don't know. So deferral of gratification. Do you understand it yet? Do you guys get it yet? I know 20% of you definitely do. Bitcoin entities. I want to go real quick back to this. They control over no. How many Bitcoin entities are there? I forgot. I've got it listed here. This is so not organized here. 23.1 million. All right, 23.1 million Bitcoin entities, and that number has always troubled me a little bit because we've got all these other surveys in the United States that say 7% of Americans own Bitcoin. 10% of Americans own Bitcoin. Well, 10% of Americans it's 33 million Americans. I mean, 33 million is a lot different than the 23.1 million Bitcoin entities. Now, one of the problems is that everybody out there that is in GBTC thinks they own Bitcoin, but that doesn't explain the difference. All of the difference. Okay. Another big part of the difference is that the entity thing, which I never really clarified before, and I want to clarify right now. One exchange is an entity. And the exchanges control 2.3 million Bitcoin. Coinbase controls a million of that 2.3 million, and thus that is the issue right there. Coinbase controls 1 million Bitcoin. That's just one entity, but there's so many people that store their Bitcoin there that those are people who think they own Bitcoin. So do those people really own Bitcoin? Do those people that are on Coinbase, the million Bitcoin, close to 1 million Bitcoin on Coinbase, are they really Bitcoin owners? But should we care? Should we just care about Bitcoin entities, 23.1 million Bitcoin entities? So indeed, there's not just 23.1 million people on this planet that own it, but it is a very good that own Bitcoin. It's entities. You got to remember that. How many people really own Bitcoin in the United States? Is it really 33 million? No, it is not that many. And I think people are getting confused with these surveys. I linked to stuff below about that. Now, there's one reason I'm bringing all this up, okay? And that's to compare Bitcoin holding to stock holding. And when I was talking to the dude the other night, my friend in California who now wants to use Robinhood to buy Bitcoin. He really's got that stock mentality. Okay, he almost, there are going to be so many people out there that just consider Bitcoin to be a stock. It's not a stock, but the way the user interface that they're going to use, be it Coinbase, Robinhood, whatever, PayPal, it is a stock in their mind. And so let's think how the normies think. Normies are going to normal, all right? Normies are going to normal. And it's something like 55% of all Americans. Now, I've lost my, in the notes, I cannot see clearly. Yes, 55% of Americans reporting that they own stock, all right? 55% of Americans own stock. What I want to know is the most popular stocks out there are probably Amazon and Apple, Google. What percent of Americans own stock in those companies? All right. I mean, so I could not find those statistics. I could not find those statistics anywhere. But if someone can find them, you're going to get a good idea of how these retail normies are going to pump up the price of Bitcoin, okay? But we're not there yet. We're not at a point where the same amount of Americans who own Google stock own Bitcoin. We're nowhere even close to that. Because the main statistic, again, 55% of Americans are invested in the stock market. We're nowhere close to that in terms of getting the Bitcoin, investing in Bitcoin. Now, I'm not saying anytime soon that 55% of Americans are going to think that they own Bitcoin, but it is a legitimate comparison because of this normie mentality. And I could not find the statistic. What percentage of Americans own Google stock? Bitcoin will get there. Bitcoin will get there, and it's not there yet. It's far from there. Or Apple stock, or Netflix, or whatever FANG stock you want to pick. Now, and it will be that easy for normies to own Bitcoin. I mean, if you use that Robinhood, it's just as easy to buy Google. I don't know. I've never used Robinhood in my life. I don't have a phone. I'm never. But from what I'm told, it's just to buy Google is just as easy to buy Bitcoin on that. And it's going to get into the mentality of people that, yeah, well, of course I got Google. They hear about Google all the time. They hear the person who wanted to buy Bitcoin that I talked about on my show, was it 2 days ago, yesterday, whatever the heck I talked about. He called, he wants to speak to me immediately. The only reason he wants to buy Bitcoin is because it's going up in price. There's so many other normies out there. The only reason they were buying Apple, Google, because it goes up in price. They don't get they don't get anything about it. And when you've got 55% of Americans that are in the stock market, obviously most of them aren't going to really understand what they're buying. All right, but they're coming into Bitcoin, and that is my point. So it is. I'd love to hear the statistic. What percentage of Americans, how many Americans own Google stock, or think they own Google stock? And that is, people ask me, when is Bitcoin going to get to the market cap of gold? And well, let's shoot even lower than that. When will the same amount of Americans who own Google stock own Bitcoin? And they're going to think they own Bitcoin stock. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. They can call it a stock. They can call it whatever they want to. Pound that like button. Let's go. By the way, Civic, Vinny Lingham's Civic, for all you altcoin freaks out there. It was only a matter of time. His buddy in Silicon Valley put his Civic on Coinbase. And so that makes a lot of people start cursing Coinbase. They can do what they want to do. We know they sell altcoins and everything like that. And so it's two entities that people love to vilify. The Bitcoin. Well, it's not just the Bitcoin Inquisition people that love to vilify Vinny and Coinbase. It's more than that. But yeah, they've gotten together now. It was only a matter of time, right? And we're going to get to Silk Road in a second. It's very interesting. The United States government is going to have another auction one of these days, and I link to where I figured out the address where the United States government is storing the latest Silk Road Bitcoin. But we're going to get to that in a second. But if you're watching live, you can check that out right now. I'm just really freestyling with this right now. All the stuff I have written down here, and play this at 2x. If you're watching this tape. Andy Hoffman reminds us that the Bank of England and Australia have just done some quantitative easing type of stuff, printing money, and it's not just the United States, dudes, and that's great news for Bitcoin. And on a side note, if you're in Australia right now, your Australian dollars are now, I don't know how you could be, after everything that's going on in Australia since February, locking everybody dead, the ridiculous state of Australia, how could you still value your wealth in Australian dollars at this point? And they're straight up admitting they're printing, they're doing stimulus down there too, or whatever this is. I check out Andy's tweet about it. But it's not just the United States that's doing it, and that's great. It's great. It's just not the United States that's printing money to oblivion. In England, the Bank of England is a tremendous economy, and they're doing this. It's so good for Bitcoin. But how can you value your wealth in Australian dollars still, dudes? BitcoinMeister, do you think the government will eventually try and demand that spouses are entitled to their spouse's Bitcoin in cases of divorce? Oh, of course. They are. They are entitled. By the current laws, they already are entitled to their spouse's Bitcoin. That's why you don't tell your freaking spouse about your Bitcoin. You have a secret stash. You just tell your spouse about a little bit of it, because they will. I mean, once the divorce happens, which is a 50% chance or higher than that, and they know you have Bitcoin, they're going to put, their lawyer is going to demand that you give them the Bitcoin. Okay. And if you're in an attack vector situation where you've got kids, where you got house, where you got a job, you're not leaving the country, and you go through the court case, they'll be able to physically come in there and restrain you and force you to give your spouse the Bitcoin. So no, of course that's why you got to think ahead of the game here. I mean, I'm sure you love your spouse and everything, and you think everything's going to go well. It doesn't go well 50% of the time. That's why you got your secret stash. Now, if it's not secret and you know you're getting divorced, then you flee the country, okay? Or else figure it out, get out before they send the force in on you to physically take it from you. Because yeah, it is unconfiscatable. But if you're cornered, if the government comes in there and starts torturing you or something to give it, or we're throwing you in jail with these horrible people, you're going to give it up. If there's a court order and the threats are there, you're going to give it up, quote unquote, voluntarily. So it's I've talked about the long-term planning with your Bitcoin. I mean, you don't have to tell anyone that you own Bitcoin. You don't have to tell your spouse, your mom, your whoever. All right. Now let's. Good question. Good question. Let's see, what else do we have here? March 12th. Oh yeah, March 12th reminder. since there was, I warned people that we could have a similar to March 12th situation after all this election nonsense. Let's flash back to March 12th. Flashback! Adam wasn't scared at all, telling people that this whole thing was blown out of proportion. And to show everyone, I said, dudes, I just spent a little over $10,000 on 2 Bitcoin. And of course, since I never sell my Bitcoin for fiat, what's happened today? In the title, I talked about massive profit for Bitcoin holders. What happened to those 2 Bitcoin that I paid a little over $10,000 for? Well, I mean, what is it? What's the price right now? I mean, it's worth over 31,000 now, right? Because the price of Bitcoin is over 15,500 now. So you do the math. 2 Bitcoin is worth over 31,000. So that's a $21,000 profit. Now, of course, I didn't sell it, but that's more. Some of the normies that scream and cry all day long, that the 21,000 in profit, that's much more than the amount of assets they own. And sadly, for some people, that's more than some people make in a year. Now, in the United States, that's very rare, but in other countries, it's of course, it's very common not to make $21,000 over the year. So yeah, there's your update. When all those dudes are screaming and crying that the world was ending on March the 12th, there were some of us that were doing and buying. And now look, and it's not that March 12th wasn't that long ago. But look how much wealthier I am just with 2 of my Bitcoin. And I'm not the only one that bought 1 Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoin, whatever, about 0.1 Bitcoin that day. There's other 20%ers out there. But then, the bulk of people just went and hid in their houses and just thought, let the government solve my problems. I said, well, I'm going to solve my own quote unquote problems. It wasn't a problem. You buy freaking low, dude. When something unnatural like that totally occurs, where Bitcoin, it's $9,000, $8,000, and all of a sudden, everyone it goes into the 3,000s again when it should never have even return to the 3,000s again. Yeah, then you're in great shape. So all right, and I just want to remind everyone, because there are a lot of fiat freaks out there, and that again, I want to jump ahead really here. I don't want to embarrass this guy. But it was on Twitter. This was left for me. The guy he doesn't send me a DM. Remember, dudes, if you want to contact me on Twitter, send me the DM. Adam, you always used to talk about not selling until at least 2020 halving. So with the event past and 2020 almost over, what's your current strategy? I mean, this person clearly doesn't even pay attention, doesn't even understand. There's so many people. I would always say 2020 halving, 2020 halving. it was so people would have a goal to like not sell before then. Okay, not sell before. That doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to sell in 2020. All right. I've been clear. So, I mean, if you've been paying attention lately, I keep saying 2024 happening, 2024. Why in the heck would I sell a darn Bitcoin now? I don't even get why. I mean, like, we're not at the all-time high yet. There's no reason for, I live a great life. I travel around the whole. Why would I do this? You people want to see me in a Lamborghini. They want me to blow my money on a Lamborghini. And yeah, I could afford a freaking Lamborghini. Why? I don't like sports cars. I don't like sports cars. All right. There's just people that think they're so stuck in this 80%er mentality. They think you got to get stuff. It's time to get stuff. The time has passed. Oh, the having goal is gone. No. That's not how you do it. It's long-term thinking, okay? You're talking Lambos. I'm talking like massive palatial estates and stuff, all right? And there's still people that don't, and I'm not going to say who that dude was, but the listening comprehension, guys, come on. Just because, and so, yeah, I'm saying 2024, buy and hold. I'm saying it right now, 2020. Now, I definitely will not sell a Bitcoin for fiat before 2024. No, why? There's no reason at all. And for me, and I'm giving this 2024, this is partially education. So you know there's a halving. What is the halving? What is so great about Bitcoin? It's supply. It's limited supply. That it's all pre-programmed. That you don't have to worry about some centralized authority printing more Bitcoin. Okay, this is. But people just like, when are you going to dump your Bitcoin? And I mentioned this again. For some people, it's only they don't value their wealth in Bitcoin, and they consider it a stock. They consider it just a short-term thing. But look, when you consider it a long-term thing, on days like this, it is awesome. So dudes like this, they probably sold their Bitcoin at when 2020 started, or when the halving, the day the halving started, they sold it. That's ludicrous. It's ludicrous to do something like that. You have a system, okay? You have a system, and it's just buying and holding, and living off of your fiat as long as you possibly can until you're freaking starving if you need to, okay? Bitcoin is the ultimate, and if you think it's the ultimate, you're going to figure out ways to not freaking spend it, all right? Now, Tavala Dakar says, party on the Meister's private island 2032. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if there'll be a private island by then. Who knows? Who knows? It depends what you get pleasure out of, okay? Do you get pleasure out of your nieces and nephews being spoiled millionaires when they're 18 years old? I can envision something like that. And people hating my nieces and nephews, calling them trust fund babies, I would love to see that. I would get quite a pleasure out of the haters out there being, having a lot less wealth than my nieces and nephews. And maybe I'll have a kid by then. I don't know either. But as it stands right now, I have no children. And but I do love my nieces and nephews so much. And would I like to have a private island, or like to see them just living the life of trust fund kids? And me still living a great life, and my mom having a great time with a lot of money too, whatever she wants to do. I think you guys get the point. Everybody has different things that they would want to do with their Bitcoin in the law. Definitely part of it. When people say, you're going to sell all your Bitcoin, part of this thing is definitely intergenerational wealth, no doubt about it. Some of it I will never sell. Some of it, when I will die eventually, and other people are going to get it. Like some of the Bitcoin that I have right now, I will never sell it. I will just never sell it, because I want them, the ones who come after me. Maybe I'll have a kid one day, but at least my siblings' children to have a great time with it. And I will get so much pleasure out of the haters out there saying, "Oh, look at those trust fund kids," and I'm like, "Oh, yes, they're trust fund kids because of me." And you know what's awesome? My siblings don't watch this at all. I'm not going to say how many I have. I keep that very vague. They don't know. They don't know that their kids are going to be millionaires one day because of me. They don't know that. And my mom might figure that one out. But yeah, it's cool. You guys know something that my own siblings don't know. My own siblings don't. They don't know the full extent of everything that's going on with the Bitcoin stuff. to say the least. And it will be a very happy day in my life when I break the news to them about the future of their children. Actually, that might be the happiest day of my life. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. It's good. It's a good question there. It's a good question. All right. What do we see here? What's this here? Now, I do want to say, well, I'm going to have great things one day too for me. This is not just living, letting other people live off of my wealth or whatever. It's fine. I love seeing that I have a lot of Bitcoin. That's a lot of pleasure for me right there. I don't need to live like a freaking millionaire or anything like that. I don't. There's I don't know. It's hard to explain. We'll have another discussion about it one day. All right. Someone's 123 NoScope said, I panic bought one Bitcoin on March the 12th at 3,900. Yeah, you got in at the bottom there, baby. Sitting pretty for 2032 right now. Yeah, dude, you're just a college dude, man. Yeah, you're doing better than you're doing better than the ones that are wearing masks at BLM protests. I mean, I think that's a thing to do in college now. Be scared to actually go to the physical college and just go to a protest with masks on and cry that there's still a chance that some mean orange guy might be president and that might like have an effect on your life. Oh man, there's a lot. I'm just going over everything. This show is lasting long, but it's a good show. You're getting some bonus material from me there. All right, so we talked about that. And I want to talk about, remember tomorrow, 1:30 Eastern time, Guy Swan is going to be on, Old Ugly Goat, and Nick. That's 1:30 This Week in Bitcoin tomorrow, Friday, 1:30 Baltimore time. And speaking about college, I am so glad that once I graduated from college, this is long-term thinking. This is a tip for all you dudes. Because there's some people that are like really feeling it now. Once I graduated from college and I got a job, those loans for Washington University, I started paying them off immediately as soon as I could, like massively. I paid off all my loans within, what was it, 2-3 years of college? There are some people, all right? And so because I did that, there was never a time where I had to worry about either paying off a college loan or buying Bitcoin, okay? I was free of all debt when Bitcoin came out and everything like that. There are some people out there today who have, because of it, that interest has piled up on their grad, not just you're going to WashU for undergrad, okay? But their grad school, their undergrad, whatever. They've had to, it's horrible. They've had to pay off their loans, their student loans for worthless degrees instead of buying Bitcoin. I almost want to vomit at that. I mean, that's, so there's some long-term thinking about debt and interest right there. And I've always had that mentality to get, it's not good. I think, my father even once mentioned to me, like talking about his mother, how she didn't like debt very much. And she just never have loan, never get into a loan. Oh, it was when we were talking about buying the car. My father and I were discussing buying I did own a Chevy Cavalier at one point. And he was telling me about his mother of blessed memory, and of course of blessed memory my father, and maybe that's when it was finally ingrained in me. Like, you cannot have debt. You cannot have debt, and that's been pretty darn good because since I have no debt, it's Bitcoin right there. Now I did have no, and even when I bought the house, when I had the mortgage, I paid that mortgage off as fast as I freaking could. I mean, would you rather be paying a mortgage now or buying the Bitcoin now? I mean, people have to make these decisions. I'm glad it never came to that with me. So, and yeah, dudes, it's not the bank's fault. I know you love to vilify banks. You bought the house. You got the college education. You bought the Chevy Cavalier. Yeah, because the thing with the Chevy, when I bought the Chevy Cavalier, they discounted the price slightly if I took out a loan with GMAC. And we were talking about my grandmother. My dad and I were talking about my grandmother. And so I did that. I took out a loan, and I immediately paid off the loan like 2 months later. It was a joke because I had the money for the car. I'd saved the money for the car, but I wanted to get the discount. So it was a little game we played with GMAC, whatever. Yeah, that's all coming back to me now. Okay, now so I searched on Twitter. When Bitcoin got to $15,000, I just typed in 15000 15,000 on Twitter, and I thought, well, I'm going to get a lot of Bitcoin mentions. I'm going to find all these tweets about Bitcoin. I found a few. Oh, but guess what else I found? And this just shows you the state of the world today. There were all these tweets about 15,000 Nevada votes. Pound that like button. All those buffoons worrying about 15,000 votes in Nevada compared to what we're thinking about right now with 15,000. It's just a whole different type of world. Now, I'm just doing everything that I got here that I promised you. Well, no, I'll save the Nick Carter thing. It's linked to below, but I'll talk about it next time because I do want to run and it's getting dark. Diversifying for the sake of diversification. There is a tweet out there that shows that since October, Ethereum has lost 16% in terms of Bitcoin, and XRP has lost 26%. BCH has lost 19%. And it's a joke about diversifying. And this is a clear example of why you do not diversify for the sake of diversification. They lose value in Bitcoin. And this is only over the last month, but it's a cycle that's repeated over and over again. Now, of course, some of them will pump again, but why gamble? Why worry about it? And I see that Venshin is actually in the chat, and there was a guy on Venshin's channel in the comments section. Venshin, it discusses how well he's doing in terms of Bitcoin. He often mentions Bitcoin on his show, but there's a guy who wanted confirmation because he's a man that has went his own way. In the comment section, he wants confirmation from Venshin that he did the right thing. Okay, this person's already done the wrong thing, but so he brings it up to Venshin and he wants confirmation. And Venshin's a nice guy and kind of gave him, an all right confirmation. But he says, I bought Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some Ripple. Ripple being more of a gamble because I don't know much about it. But I like the idea of it being 0.25, I guess 25 cents. It's like getting in on the ground floor. It might not lead to anything, but who knows? No, it won't lead to anything. It won't lead to anything, dude. You're a gambler. You asked Venshin if it was all right that you bought Ethereum. He's like, yeah, it was, Venshin said, I have a little Ethereum or something like that. But dude, some people are never going to learn. They're never going to learn. The dude was originally complaining that Bitcoin was too expensive all this time. So all this time he's held off from buying Bitcoin because it was too expensive. So suddenly he decides to get in, but he diversifies for the sake of diversification. So the only thing I can say to dudes like this who just they have to diversify for some unknown reason. And it's not an unknown reason. He felt intimidated by the high Bitcoin price. Don't be intimidated by that. You've got that unit bias thing going there. It's so common in the normies. And so this guy, I can only say, have fun being poor, dude. Pound that like button. It's an Udi saying out there. Udi's disappeared, apparently. But maybe he'll be back. If I was in Israel, I know I could find Udi. But on Twitter, he's disappeared. Maybe... Well, you can't go to the Tel Aviv Bitcoin embassy anymore. You can't go anywhere in Israel because they freaking locked down the whole... They pulled in Australia in Israel. It's ridiculous. It's so sad. Now, but again, yeah, we got to be harsh sometimes with these people who just can't get it through maybe I'm getting on the ground floor of Ripple. Dude, that's so 2017. And someone's just got to give you some tough love about that. And if you're not familiar with 2017, and explain to you what that's all about. And that you're just going to have fun being poor if you buy these ridiculous things. And you'll see on days like this, you'll understand what have fun being poor truly means. Now, when you value your wealth in Bitcoin, when you see your altcoins have not done well, and just having that general mentality of needing confirmation, you've already done something wrong, and you need confirmation from someone that what you did wrong was right. That's just not a winning. That's not just a winning way of going about living your life. Have confidence in yourself. You don't need confirmation from some dude in Washington State. Invention's a great guy and everything like that. But I mean, come on, you got to be your own man. That's part of the whole acronym there. M going your own way. You don't need the confirmation of some other dude. All right. If you've truly gone your own way, if you're truly confident in what you've done and you bought Ripple, you don't need someone to tell you, or if you bought Ethereum, you don't need a confirmation that it was all right that you bought the Ethereum. Now, okay, I've skipped important things here, which is unfortunate because I've just jumped around so much. It's all linked to below. Oh, Square. Square reports $1.63 billion in Bitcoin sales on the third quarter via its Cash App. Oh, yeah. Gross profit, $32 million. Last quarter, it was $875 million, and gross profit was $17 million. So if you look at the graph at this tweet, okay, this information just came out, the Square, I mean, every quarter, it's doing a lot better than the previous quarter. So normies, individuals, whatever, they're buying Bitcoin, okay? There's a reason why it's 15K. It's not just because everybody's happy that it's pretty clear that the whole country isn't going to fall apart or anything like that. I mean, that's part of it. But there's what I was screaming about before in terms of the limited amount of Bitcoin out there, about teaching people about the halving. Halving hype has happened already. Okay, the results of the 2020 halving, you're freaking feeling right now. There's all these entities, individuals, companies, from MicroStrategy to the dude buying at Square, and there's not enough Bitcoin. There's not as much Bitcoin out there. And there are people like me that aren't getting rid of any of it, even when they're dead. And yeah, that's why the price is going. And so at the beginning of the show, which is now a long time ago, if you remember, so if we are in the equivalent of January of 2017 right now. All right, let's pretend we're in that equivalent now, January of 2017. What happened after January of 2017? January 2017, that wasn't the height of the market. That was just Bitcoin reaching new all-time highs at $1,300, all right? I mean, it over 10x from there. So if we repeat or rhyme with what happened, if 2021 is the next 2017, and by the 210,000 block theory, it very much is, okay, this is just the beginning of a tremendous freaking rave party that you've never seen before, okay? It's the beginning of something. And hey, if it's only a quarter of that, I'll be happy, okay? I mean, I'm already pretty darn happy. But we're talking, I don't like to jinx anything. I don't like to make big predictions, all right? I don't. But if you extrapolate on what happened in 2017 and put it into 2021, and Bitcoin 10x's from this number. I mean, we're talking 6-digit realm and stuff like that. Now, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but this is what halving hype is all about. This is what limited supply is all about. This is what what's mass adoption? Mass adoption is when, for me, is when people are using it as a gold, as a store of value. When these big giant corporations out there are using it as a treasury asset, okay? And when people are saying, hey, I want to buy this stock called Bitcoin. You could be partially wrong about it as long as you're buying it, as long as you're taking it off the market, the number goes up, right? Number goes up. And those of us who had clear heads and didn't try to diversify for the sake of diversification and didn't think we were master traders because, it's worth so much more than when I bought it. Yeah, we're living it now. Now, there is a site out there called casebitcoin.com. It is very good. A very good site, and you can see, you can check it every day to see where the closing price of Bitcoin is in terms of how it ranks in all time. Is this the 28th best day in the history of Bitcoin? It's a good site. There's other statistics on there too. And okay, I think we covered everything. On my notes, I've jumped up and down and all around and had to use my memory and everything. And I'll see if there are any other questions from you guys. This has been a legendary show. It's 49 minutes into it. $4.99 from Kyon Yin. Could a lockdown supercharge Bitcoin? Not supercharge it. I think it will. I think it could actually. The initial. If somehow the next president of the United States can do a federal lockdown, which I don't think is really possible. All right. If he made some like brutal type of announcement where we're shutting down the entire United States of America, that actually the price, we would have another March 12th basically at that point. All right. So, and I don't, and this is so theoretical, man. But once the lockdown progress, and I don't even believe it's so theoretical because that can't happen. And I was about to say, once the lockdown progressed, then the Bitcoin price would go up again. But the lockdown would not progress. If the United States somehow implemented a nationwide lockdown, we would people would start taking to the streets, and the lockdown would soon end. So it's an interesting theoretical question. So I'll leave it at the start that if somehow the next president says the United States is locked down, the price would actually, it would go down. We would have another March 12th situation, but eventually there would be no more insane lockdown and everything would be fine again. Everything would be fine again. Sometimes a trust fund can turn a kid into an aimless loser. How will you avoid that? Well, there's ways. You stay close with your relatives. You teach them good values and stuff. And you're absolutely right. But in my family, it's been long instilled upon us. Don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. And all the people out there that love to say how great weed is and how great X, Y, and Z is. I've told you about all the smart people I know that have had their lives that IQs are so much, really genius level dudes. And do they have as much? No, they don't have as much wealth as me. And again, it's about being personally responsible for your own health and conscientiousness. Conscientiousness makes up a lot. And those dudes they're flakes. My friends who got into drugs who are really smart, they're not conscientious, they're flakes. And so what you do with your family members that you make trust fund kids, you straight up explain to them, you don't become, look what happened to, I could point to a lot of people they'll know who became drug addicts and scare them straight. And that's part of it right there. That's, if you're not a drug addict, and if you're not, be it alcohol, drugs, whatever, if you don't have an addictive tendency and you're wealthy, I think that definitely cuts in half your likelihood of becoming some aimless wanderer or whatever. BitcoinMeister, you're an inspiration. Thanks for all the great content over the years. Well, thank you, BTC Moon Guy. Thanks a lot. And by the way, it is much more important for your kids or your nephews or your nieces to not become drug addicts than to become wealthy. It's much more important to be healthy than to be wealthy. It is, because if you're not healthy and you're wealthy, you're going to die. And so living is the most important thing out there. So it's very good to it's good to have both. 123 knows who said, I hoard Bitcoin for my future family, not for short-term needs. Yeah, of course. Party on mice. Okay, that's it. I think I covered everything. I feel like I skipped everything because I just jumped around so much. But guys, play this at 2x, and tomorrow 1:30 Friday. That's tomorrow. Is This Week in Bitcoin, 1:30 Baltimore time. And it appears here in Salt Lake City, it's 5:07, so I will be running in the dark. I'm Adam Meister, the BitcoinMeister, Disruptmeister, and I'm just going over all my notes, just making sure there is nothing I skipped out on. I really hope I didn't skip anything. All right, thanks a lot, dudes. Please spread the word. This was a unique beast type of show. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you.